You will never be happy with your art if you keep chasing perfection. And that's exactly why so many artists quit. If you've ever thought, my art sucks, or will I ever get better? Trust me, you're not alone. But today, I want to show you why the way we think about what's good art, it's completely wrong. And once you change your mindset, you will never be at risk of quitting this precious activity again. Let's talk about the biggest scam in the art world. The idea that the only thing that matters is the final, the perfect piece. Every time you scroll on social media, all you see are these flawless illustrations. No mistakes, no ugly sketches, just pure perfection. And so you start thinking, why does my art look like garbage compared to all these amazing people? But here's the truth. You're only seeing 1% of the process. The other 99%, the messy, the bad sketches, the endless retries, those are hidden from you. Because we humans have never liked facing our mistakes or admitting that we are not perfect. It makes us feel weak and less valuable for our society. So we hide that ugly part of the process. And that is why so many of us often feel like we are failing. Because since we only get exposed to the rare and pretty results, we reach the false idea that good art happens magically without any struggle. And that if you struggle, it's because you're a failure. But that's not how art works at all. The problem is we see our bad art as obstacles instead of what they really are, steps. Think about it like this. If you want to reach the top of a staircase, you don't just teleport to the last step, right? You climb one step at a time. Or two, if you're trying to be like the cool kids, but you risk hurting yourself. Every failed sketch, every ugly drawing, it's not proof that you suck. It's proof that you are moving forward. Even the greatest artists in history didn't just sit down and create masterpieces instantly. They experimented, they messed up, they embraced the process instead of fighting it. Just like you saw me on this illustration at the beginning, I couldn't quite pinpoint what pose would work best, nor the type of light I wanted to go with. So I had to experiment. I had to fail several times to rule out the bad options and have a clearer idea of what was working and what wasn't. Think about when you were a kid. You didn't care if your art was good. You just drew for fun, for self-expression, for the joy of making something. But as we grow up, something changes. We become afraid of looking bad at something. And that is when art starts feeling like pressure instead of fun. And social media just makes things worse because you're not just drawing for yourself anymore. Now you have an audience, strangers judging your work, algorithms deciding if your art is worthy of being seen. And that pressure, it's crushing. I've been there. I used to second guess every sketch I made, every colors I used, thinking, what if people think this is ugly? But the truth is, no one cares as much as you think they do. And the people who do judge you, their opinions don't matter. Because at the end of the day, those people turn off their phones, go to bed, and completely forget about that hate comment they left on your art. The only thing that will make you a better artist is doing the work, is creating, not pleasing the crowd. One of the biggest things holding us artists back isn't skill, it's overthinking. You sit down to draw and instead of having fun, your brain starts screaming, but what if after all that work, it looks bad? What if this isn't my best work? Do my idols struggle as much as me? Of course they do. Remember, what you see from your favorite artists online, it's only the 1% of what they create. It's the prettiest of the prettiest, the rare masterpieces. Not to mention that, by default, humans think that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, even when it's not. Here's the thing, thinking too much kills creativity. The more you stress about perfecting something, not just art, I'm talking in general, the more you'll freeze up and stop enjoying what you do. And when you don't enjoy what you're doing, it's impossible to get anything good out of it. So you need to learn to care less about the result and care more about the process that gets you to that result, about what you can learn through it. Maybe it's learning something art-related, like how to paint a specific texture, how to better represent the volume of an arm, or maybe more subjective or spiritual things, like you tend to reuse a specific composition, maybe you get easily stressed when doing clean line art, maybe there's a specific color palette that you feel more comfortable with. Every drawing process is a new opportunity to discover things that you can absorb and add to your mental tool belt, to put it somehow, so that the next drawing process can be a little easier or more comfortable or more interesting. If you don't focus on the process, if you're not there, you will not learn anything ever. It's kind of like when you have to study for a test. If you only care about the result of that test, you will not absorb the knowledge. You will just keep it inside of your brain long enough to get a decent result on the test. But 2 weeks later, you won't remember anything of what you studied, because you were so focused on the result that you weren't there mentally during the process. So you couldn't really absorb what you were studying. You failed to add that knowledge to your mental tool belt so that you can use those resources in the future whenever you might need them. Art is not about creating perfect results. It's about learning through the process. Every rough sketch, every wonky eye, every horrendous color palette you pick is part of the staircase that leads to knowledge. As I heard once, a master has failed more times than a beginner has ever tried. Making good art is not about being gifted. It's about screwing up millions of times and learning something out of every single experience. So stop chasing good art, please, I beg you. Instead, focus on just making art. The messy, the experimental, the evolving. And if you do that, you won't just get better. You'll actually start enjoying the journey, which in the long run is all you need to move forward. If this video helped you, share it with an artist who struggles with perfection too. In these awful AI times, we gotta help each other more than ever in the art community. That's it from me. Stay positive, keep on drawing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!